Inside Out.
Alright, the Inside Out gyenkwaniza munate kyaleero nange Simon Muyanga Lutaya njalo bebaza olubaka bwammwe ebintu bya Proscovia Salaamu Musumba ono mutera okuwaako comments ennungi wamne muita Iron Lady ate bwe mumuwaana nnyo sibimubuulira pasagala mumeza malala ne muwaana nnyo bright nnyo yanga Salaamu agambye tomanyi luzungu Salaamu wadiguli mmeka nezange ziri mmeka tundu manyire ye bo baagala luli America fe twagera luzungu lumutegeero olwawano kale tusanyukira nnyo message ezo bwe muziwandika because that feedback in our field of communication, feedback is the only assurance that communication was made. So we love it even when it comes negative, ne muvuma, ne mukolachi, it's okay. It means you listened, got one thing that did not please you, and then you gave feedback. Kale, this morning again, ne Proscovia Salaamu Musumba. Good morning.
Good morning, Simon.
How are you today?
I feel good.
You're beaming.
Well, we are coming to the end of the year. We are coming to Christmas, a season that is joyous and is meant to be a great event for family, but especially for children. This is the best time for children to grow, to be happy, and we all remember our Christmases. So I want to make a Christmas that is joyous to the children and which they will grow up with a taste of love in their lives.
What Christmas memories do you have for yourself as a child growing up?
It was the festivity of eating, the Christmas spent with the big family, the extended family, my parents, my uncles, my grandmother, a lot of meat, a lot of rice. Because when I was growing up, rice was for special occasions. And it was for Christmas, not the daily thing that we now are treated to. It was about all my cousins coming in one compound and all of us playing. It was a day when the mothers of the home would wake up early, about 4, prepare the great Christmas feast, have it all set up and ready before we go to pray. New clothes, and there was something hilarious about it. There was money in the home because the parents had just sold coffee and cotton, and the entire family economy was vibrating. Our fathers felt fathers. They fathered us in all ways. They provided for us financially. There was new life at Christmas. There was new life. And the expectations were clear. A new dress, a new shoe, a new hairstyle, big food, and happiness. And for weeks, it wasn't a day, for weeks.
Oh.
For weeks. We
festivities for weeks.
For
You're
weeks.
not talking about a day, but for
it
weeks.
would be throughout to New Year and past New Year. And as I grew up, the festivity, I could recognize the festivity within the community. At family level, it was even taking soda.
Soda?
Yes. And you belch. You know, it would come through the nose, it would hurt you. And that is the feeling of Christmas. And then you would last the whole year just remembering how that Pepsi Cola, I don't remember Coca-Cola. There was that.
It was Pepsi, most popular then.
It was Pepsi Cola, and it would go through your nose. That carbon dioxide would go through your nose, and that feeling made Christmas.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
It's interesting.
And so you would start on the 23rd, the 24th. There would be slaughter of a bull.
In your particular family?
Yes.
Or you're talking about the slaughter of the
At
bulls?
family level.
At family
slaughter
level.
of a bull.
A bull?
My grandmother made sure no meat was purchased from any stall. It had to be a bull every Christmas. So you start with the offals.
Offals had a special day.
Yes. The offals were for that day on the 24th, and for breakfast on Christmas Day. And then we would have the fresh beef on Christmas Day, pieces as big as my fist, or even bigger.
And those would only come on Christmas.
Only
Before
on Christmas.
then, there were smaller pieces.
The Christmas piece
Was special.
was Christmas piece.
Big enough.
Very big. I think it was a full hand like this, because you would go for the bone and sit on it in your little corner. And then on the 24th, you would have the smoked fish, the smoked beef, because they would salt it and smoke it to preserve it. And from then on, you would be having all types of smoked beef until you got tired. Then we would go on to the hooves.
Hooves?
Yes, the hooves would be prepared.
Hooves?
And then,
every bone for that matter?
Yes, Molokonyi.
Molokonyi?
Yes.
No muto gwokugalula emiti.
And then that we would maybe by end, then it would be stored, because we would be too tired of eating meat. And somewhere in the first week of the year, the biggest one was to eat the head.
The head?
Yes, when it's properly smoked.
They would preserve the head from 24th
smoked,
to...
yes, and cut into pieces and soaked and marinated, and then cooked slowly. Our grandparents were slow cookers. They believed in slow cooking.
Which maximized all the nutrients from...
All, and you would savor it, and you would think about your grandmother the whole year.
Yeah,
and you would long for your grandmother to go and spoil yourselves. And so we looked forward to every Christmas, every long holiday, and I want to recreate that for the kids.
We are now, that's now at family level.
Yes,
let's
and
get
then
out
at
to
community
church.
level, our parents would put together the millet and make a brew called malwa, and a social brew in which they would, the families around would come in the evening, and each with their own straw, and partake and savor the drink slowly as they go.
I was actually wondering how a Catholic would go through the Christmas story without talking about the brew. Now you
see, the drinks in the 70s when I was growing up, the only luxury was a Pepsi Cola. There were no beers. No, there were no whiskeys. There were no gins.
Okay.
And so you either had the soft drinks and the malwa, the communal drink, and my grandmother used to brew it.
Oh.
Yes, for her
Okutaba amalwa.
Okutaba amalwa yakola olumeri, yakalanga
amalwa still.
Emuma.
And they were also something tasty.
Echibonde,
yes.
Amalakairi.
You also call it chibonde in Kamuli. I thought chibonde is our language.
Very healthy drink, yeast. So we learned how to make yeast, the local yeast, how to mix it, how to preserve it, the patience it takes, the care it takes.
These are stories that our children...
And then at community level, then the families would come together to drink the beer. And as we would be happily playing around Nobo, Kasonko, Kumbaka, you know, we were allowed to be dirty, we were allowed to be rowdy, we were allowed to be children. We were happy children, very happy children. We had our space, we were allowed to quarrel, we were allowed to make peace, we were allowed to ravage the entire village. It was a safe space. And then in the evening, no, I've forgotten something. We would come back, and then I was the only one allowed to switch on the gramophone.
Gramophone.
The gramophone, and then put the music. And we all knew the numbers. Put number 5, and then there's a Kasonga, nobody nangai. And so I had that privilege because being the firstborn, I was being taught responsibility.
So only you would be allowed?
Only me.
To set.
And therefore I could not let down my family by doing anything wrong. And my siblings would watch, mesmerized as their role model. My cousins would watch their role model. Perfect.
Was yours a rich family, an average family?
No, we were a rich family. Rich in happiness. And rich in social bonding. And rich in resources. I come from a heritage of the royal family in Bodiope. My grandparents own an entire parish called Botasa. My grandfather, great-grandfather, called Mutasa, owns Botasa, where Buyende district, local government is located.
That
That
village
entire
was
village.
Has it since transformed ownership, or you still own it?
No, it is my heritage because it comes through my grandmother, the mother of my father. And so I cannot inherit anything in that lineage.
Okay.
I cannot skip my father and then come to me.
Okay.
It doesn't work that way. So we come from that. My grandfather, Mutasa Edward, bought his grandchildren, my father and my uncles, cars. My father had a Peugeot 305, 304, 302, I don't remember, but a very big machine. Then my uncle had a Volkswagen, and then my other uncle had everything he wanted. And so our grandmother was the matriarch. Namayanda Sara was the matriarch of our family. And she was unapologetic about her 3 sons, but that was her.
No stories about them?
No. There was no nonsense about them. They were hers.
It's very good.
And of course, she spoiled them. She had so much money. She would, if she
where was this wealth coming from?
From her father, because she inherited her father's estate. Yes.
So the money was available.
Money was never a problem to us. I want to be honest.
This is one reason, one thing that has made you a bit arrogant. Do you realize that you're a bit arrogant?
I'm very, very arrogant, according to you, but I'm very normal.
Okay, you are too proud.
I am full of myself.
Yes.
Yes, I'm full
That's
of
why we
myself.
say that your prejudice overflows.
No, I love myself so much because I was loved. Generations of love impacted me, that I love myself. I have nothing missing in me, maybe except my hair. Which also will come back.
It is back. So which of these, who of your parents seem to have had great influence on your life? Are you like the mother?
Before we get there, let me tell you about the community on Christmas. After drinking the malwa, or as they drank their malwa,
on the day thereafter,
the entire season, that's 2 weeks.
Actually, in my village,
it was an evening event, how to end the day, to commune, how to commune in the community. And so, then in the evening, the traditional dances would begin.
Traditional dance.
Invited the Africa Kuchalo, you know, invited the Africa Ebuliza, invited the Africa Ebungongo, invited the Africa. You would sit home in a starlit night because there was a moon.
Starlit, yes.
Starlit, there was a full moon.
It used to be full moon.
Always in Christmas.
Always, yes.
It was always a full moon. So we would be outdoors and watching the stars, because we were watching heaven to wait for the angel to bring the good news, or to the shepherds. We were living the real full story of Christmas. And so the starlit nights, the moon, the full moon, and then the dancing in the community, you would hear from every hill, every side, you would tell, that is the drumming of so and so. This, so much like the Okonko time.
Okonko time, yes. People
so
that. Actually, when I read the Okonko book, that's what I love.
Yes.
It had a story similar to home.
Yes, yes. It relieved our experience as home. And so the young men would be happy, families would be happy. They take a whole year to prepare for this. And that is the beauty of Christmas.
In my village, the festivities would fade around January 10th. When civil servants now return, return to their places. Remember, they used to work from a distance.
Yeah, then they would get on the buses and the trains.
And then go
back.
The
trains and go back. And even the village event of people coming from wherever they've been. For on my village, people were coming from Nightil.
Nightil, yes.
From Mulko.
Where they worked.
From Kakira Sugar. They were coming from... I
think Nightil then?
Nightil was the biggest employer. That was Dunlop. You remember Dunlop?
Or Dunlop.
Dunlop. They called it Dunlop.
The ginger thing. And then there was also the Tip Top.
Then there was Tip Top.
Tip Top, yes.
And so people came home and it was a marvel. Like migrant workers. It was a marvel. We would all watch. And there was only one bus. Remember the bus? Eh? The bus, we had a bus and it was driven by Kidanga. Kidanga was from your place.
My father was a bus conductor.
And Kidanga would drive the bus and drop everybody off. Because it was a bus, we all knew when everybody disembarked. So and so come back. Mzee Madumba is Mzee Nankania is Baba Nankania is. We knew.
So every time the bus came, you waited to see who gets out.
Who gets out.
And then you shared. Some of us actually used to go and wait at the bus station.
And we would wait, yes, to wait for you.
Because there was no communication with telephone.
No, there was no need. There was no need. There was no need. There was no need because there was a bus schedule. You knew when the bus arrived.
And so you...
At 4. And at 4 exactly it did. So you went and waited for your people who were coming. My grandmother was in Bugerere here. She lived in, they call it Chaya.
Something.
There. And she would come with her bando. A band of clothes, Nasiri or Mugugu. And that Mugugu was full of money. We knew someone would go and carry it.
Full of money.
Yes.
This money that had been preserved from around August.
She had
there,
coffee, she had everything.
After selling coffee and everything, there was money to happen.
And when we chose to have Christmas with her at in Bugerere here, each of her sons had his portion of the coffee plantation. So you were allowed to go and pick coffee from your father's part. And that coffee belonged to you. If you didn't pick big enough, that was up to you.
It was available.
So it was a free latitude. You go pick the coffee. To teach us hard work.
That's the tradition.
So we would pick the coffee. We would preserve it selfishly, as you know. Private capital.
Imagine the happiness of the coffee economy. How have we substituted that one, and with what?
Well, it's an empty space largely. Largely an empty space, a gazing space of a break. Came with a program of destruction and advised an entire population to cut down the old coffee trees. They were cut down.
When was that?
They were all cut down, and they brought a new breed called Colono.
I remember.
They cut down all those trees.
Yes, the Corono coffee boom, Corono coffee store. I remember campaign.
And that Clono coffee didn't do well.
It didn't work.
It didn't do well. So economies were slashed. They were cut out.
You know, there is a coffee plant in my home that has lasted from my grandfather through my father to me, and I certainly feel it will go through me to another. We have even feared to cut it. You simply cut off a few branches.
You prune it.
Keeps, yes,
you
but it keeps coming.
You prune it.
Just old.
Because it's already established the root system, and it's already adapted to the soil pH, the soil condition.
It is for years.
Yes.
Remember, I'm now 45.
Okay.
But I told that it lasted through my father.
Those are 4 generations.
4
now.
generations. And we even fear to cut it. We are fear to cut it away.
No, preserve it. Preserve it. I was in Amulatar on Monday. I went to visit my friend Ojok Bilel. He had a Thanksgiving event. And I found the biggest turmeric tree. Turmeric tree. You know turmeric?
Yes.
Nkoge.
Yes.
The hugest tree. I think it's like it's I was looking at it and wondering, is this the sycamore tree? Is this the mustard tree? I mean, it's so huge.
And it has lasted for some years.
It must be 100 plus.
And you know, me growing up from a poor family other than yours, the tamarind sometimes made sauce for us.
It did.
Do it with kalo. It moves very well with
lovely.
kalo.
I used to have that when I visited my grandparents in Namulo, in Doho, in Bunyole. And also that experience. You know, after we have been with our paternal grandparents, we would be taken to our maternal grandparents, all the way in Bunyole. And we would go through a ferry on Tirinyi. Tirinyi had a ferry.
Then.
Yes, then. And so, I'm a balanced person because
I was actually about to say, where is your ancestry? You keep, when you go to Muramoji, you are called a home girl.
Yes.
You go to Bunyole, you are a native. You come to Kamuli, you are home there.
All those
Now you have talked about Bugere today. I've just heard you talk about Bugere today. That's Buganda now.
Yes, that's Buganda. And there was a ferry from Blamoti to they call it Busana. To Busana, and from Busana we would go to Chayai, as we called it, and it was like a 30-minute drive. Yes.
Right, for that matter.
Okay. So we would the community when I grew up, then as an adolescent, as a teenager, then also through the hardships, the economic hardships, then we put up a students' association, Namwendo Students Association, in which we would do community work. Like this Christmas, as students, we would clean the town and burn the rubbish, and because the Bible said to make straight the way. The Bible says, make straight the way of the Lord. And so we would be doing our piece of making straight the way, and we would clean, and we would do the rubbish. And so I went to home and I said, where are the students of this village anymore? What happened?
You no longer feel them.
No, they are not there. Each of them is looking for sunglasses. Each of them is looking for damaged jeans. Each of them is, there's no community about them, and they have not appreciated the beauty of communing. Because you come from your home and others come from their homes, and you meet as students, and you know, and because me, I was coming from an A top range school, it's the only way I would mingle.
Which is that school now?
I was in Mount St. Mary's College, Namagunga. I was in St. Teresa's Primary School, Namagunga. So,
Salam.
Yes.
You came from a powerful family.
I did.
Your parents could afford those schools then?
Yes. I'm telling you, I was their biggest
Now I know why you live your own life.
Yes, I live my life. Because God has been kind to me. And for what purpose? This is why I am happy to share. And so I would go back and find my age mates that have been on the village. And they would want to know,
I understand.
What is it like there? And I would take time. I would share my books.
With that background, money cannot excite you, so you can't simply be bribed. So that's why I think you have remained steadfast.
You see, it gives you emotional stability. It gives you, and that's the biggest thing, emotional stability, that you are in charge of yourself all the time. How
much of that history have you shared with your own children?
My children are fine. They know everything. They know everything because one of them, Zach, told me that, hey, Mommy, you did well to leave this village. You mean I would be looking like this child? I said, yes. Yes. But Zach loves people so much that whenever he goes home, he doesn't come back with anything. He will tell you a story. I gave my trouser to the other boy. I gave the 2 t-shirts to the other one.
That's
like
good.
That. Yeah.
That's good.
And that's what I want. That's what I've taught them.
Now, that's a Christmas of you growing up and your parents.
Yeah.
How about your own Christmas now with your own children?
My Christmas, now my children are all over the place.
What do you mean?
They are in all the continents. So, I am here.
Alone?
Alone.
You may not even have them Christmas?
No. I'll have one. Abba.
Abba.
Yes.
The rest are spread across the globe.
The rest are all over the place. And so I will have Christmas. Because for me, mine is an open house. There are children all the time.
Oh.
Yes. The village children, I invite them to have fun. Even coming into my compound.
So you'll be...
They keep asking, what is inside there? What is inside there? So I blow the music, and then they come to the gate, and I open the gate.
They all get in?
They get in.
And they enjoy.
And I tell them, dance for me.
Do you still have the fruits all over the place? Or the compound? I remember getting to your compound, the first thing I saw was fruits. You'd pick fruits everywhere.
Yeah, fruits. Some fruits, now they're apples to replant. I had to replant the oranges. And the tangerines. It was a bad breed. I think their genetic material had a lifespan. It was not like the tangerines of
that's the problem we have.
That was the biggest problem with this Operation Wealth Creation. That the planting material, its genetic material was not durable. So all those trees are dead.
I have a manga.
And I have left them dead there for purposes, if any scientist wants to do a study on the lifespan of that genetic material, oranges, that they provided to us. And there are so many people who grew farms and farms of them who are suffering in pain.
And the whole yard,
you know, the entire vineyard is gone. And so I have gone into other things now.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Now, winding up this first session of what we were discussing, I was asking, who of your do your parents live?
Yeah, my parents are alive, thankfully, yeah. My mother. You know my mother, you've been there. Hajat, Lukiana member. My mother, Hajat.
Oh.
Yes, she's there. A bit sick, but that comes with old age. And then my father, Tom Ziraba, is there.
Who of these two do you think has had great influence on you?
It must be both genetically. Because I didn't grow up with them for much of my life. As I've told you, I spent 7 years in St. Mary's Primary Boarding School in Namagunga, 1971 to 1976. Then I went to Mount St. Mary's College, Namagunga, from 77 to 83. Then I went to university, 83 to 86. I went to Nottingham University, 88, 89.
You need to advise me on aging, because if in 83, when I was in primary, in my nursery,
yes,
you were at university, and now
yes,
you are looking more beaming than me, then you must give me a therapy to go to.
I will. I will.
Some secret you keep it yourself.
Because you must love yourself. If it wasn't for these vagaries of politics, having to go through all these things, I think I would have lived longer than my grandmother. My grandmother died at 100 plus.
Oh.
With a good brain, a good sense of humor.
I see you getting there.
You see me.
You'll get there because unless if you don't talk about your age, nobody will ever speculate how old you are.
All right. I'll stop talking about it.
You should
well.
stop.
Yeah.
You should stop
because people see age as a huge thing. I shared it largely to give comfort to all of you. That age is just a number. It's really a number. I feel like I'm 30. My plans are...
You know, at 45, I'm dealing with gray hair. You are just getting fresh black hair.
Yes.
It's a story of...
It's a good genetic material I come from.
That's good. Yeah. Anyway, Proscovia Salaamu Musumba with some good memories of the old traditional Ugandan Christmas experience. I have loved it. Hope you have loved it. Carry the inside out. Mzesa Simon Muyanga Lutaya.
Inside Out.